I'm Joey,
I'm Jason.
and this is Metal
Monster
Review. Today we're getting back to some 80s horror, and we're going to do an absolute fan favorite of the 80s. We're going to 1980 here, and we are going to do Motel Hell. Well, hell, we're going to talk about Motel Hell. Let me give you the synopsis here. What you got going on is this. You have a hotel that is run by Farmer Vincent and his sister Ida, but they are known for working on as a farm as well and making these smoked meats. And everybody who's ever had food from them has absolutely loved it. It's the talk of the town. It's the biggest thing, in a 100-mile radius. Everybody and their friend goes and buys food from Farmer Vincent. But something interesting on how Vincent gets his stock, if you will. What he does is he'll end up setting up traps, booby traps along the road, which would cause an accident, and then he'll later take the victims from the accident, bury them in a secret garden, and then later cut them up for human jerky. Jason, would you like to talk about Motel Hell a little bit?
This is a cool little flick. I was telling him earlier, if you compare this to other cannibal movies, we'll throw the Texas Chainsaw, for example. You compare this to that, like the Texas Chainsaw, the whole family's a bunch of lunatics. As soon as you meet them, you know they're lunatics. But
yeah,
these people, they play it all cool.
And you're right.
That's one thing I like about this movie. This guy keeps his cool the whole entire movie. All the messed up shit he's doing, it's like, there's nothing wrong with it.
I see exactly what you mean, and I like that concept too, because you're right. He doesn't well until later in the movie where he loses his cool, as it comes with a giant severed pig's head and a chainsaw. But I mean, this guy walks the straight line. You know what I mean? And you would never know anything is going on that's undesirable or shady with him, because he does. He just maintains his composure the whole time, and he's almost like a public figure. Everybody who knows him loves him, and he pulls this off real well. And the actor that who played Farmer Vincent in this movie is a Western legend by the name of Rory Calhoun, who has been in High Noon, Rawhide, and just really known for this Western series. But here you have him playing a psychotic killer farmer, and I think he just does the role justice. I mean, you really, I liked his performance in this. You know what I mean? It's like when they had that couple in the hotel room, and she's like, what is this? Is this, like, oh, this is the hogtied. Well, that's not laughing gas. It's a special laughing gas. You take the gas, and I start laughing. And I just thought that was so sinister, you know what I mean, with him here. But yeah, this is a really cool flick from the 80s for sure.
Yeah, Vincent always has weird little schemes to try to catch people to make his delicious meats.
Yes,
When you mentioned that a little bit ago, in the hotel when they bring this one couple there, one of my favorite things he says, like I told you, Vincent keeps his cool. These couple end up coming thinking that this is like a swinger hotel.
Yeah, they think it's like a real hot spot, basically.
But it's not, and so this couple's all into kinky stuff. And here's Vincent with his rope, starts tying the girl's legs up. He's like, "Ooh, is this doggy style?" He's like, "No, hog style." This keeps tying her up like nothing's going on. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
And even when that couple shows up and it's like, "Hey, is this place cool?" He just looks, "We can turn up the heat if you like." Nonchalantly, like, well, if you want us to turn up the heat a bit, But they were there to, party and have a good time. And, well, they later became part of the menu. It was their game plan. And you have some really cool cast here. And like I said, I loved, Rory Calhoun's performance here. But even the performance of Ida and playing his sister and how sinister and wicked she really is. Here you have Vincent, who is pretty much alpha. Well, here is beta, and maybe the muscle of the group as well. because she threw her weight around and would just slap the shit out of somebody when they were getting out of line. But she was almost like a deviant one here too. And in the movie here, Vincent ends up setting his booby trap for a couple on a motorcycle, man and woman. Man's severely injured. He puts him out in his secret garden because he's got other plans for him. But he finds some love interest in this woman here, and I think the sister was a little, how do I want to say? I don't want to say jealous, but maybe she wasn't on board with the game plan because she's like, hey, this is a breach of security here, buddy. You know what I mean? Because if we're doing something here that's top secret, she's gonna find out. This is gonna be trouble waiting to happen. But Vincent ends up marrying her, or plans to marry her, and they end up having, and we discussed this earlier, a glass of champagne. Well, they drugged her drink, but when they're both having the champagne, didn't she notice that her drink was fucking different color? Yeah, like everybody else has the champagne color, hers looks like antifreeze. She didn't think this.
They already drank. All three of them already drank one glass. Then they're getting another one, and his sister Ida puts a little cocktail in there, but then it's fucking green, like it's bright green.
Like, hey, listen, we're drinking champagne. You have at it with the antifreeze. You know, like, are you fucking... I didn't get that. Like, she had to have noticed that. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's just a blooper or whatever. I mean, I understand that, her drink was supposed to be, tainted at that point in time, but it's clearly too obvious. You know what I mean? It's two different colors. But that's neither here nor there. So they had her sedated, and they're out there working, and in their... How do you want to put that? Where they used to... The barn, where they kept... and would smoke the meats and everything. Smokehouse, maybe. Smokehouse. Yeah, we'll go with that, the smokehouse. But spoilers ahead, but we'll try not to give too much away of this. She ends up discovering their secret and doesn't really handle it all that well. But that's where the movie really picks up for me even more, because I loved seeing that concept of Rory Calhoun with that giant fucking pig's head. Which I do have a t-shirt of that. And you know what I mean? And I just love that iconic scene with him with the giant pig's head and the chainsaw. That's awesome.
That's when Vincent lost his cool.
Yes. That's when the composure kind of shifted gears here. And he's having a big battle with his brother, who is the local sheriff at the end of that movie. And I don't want to spoil anything here, but if you haven't seen this, by all means, give this one a watch. I believe it's currently on Tubi. I think Pluto TV even has it on there. This is one well worth from the 80s to check out.
If you dig the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you'll definitely dig this movie.
Yes, and there's some, comic relief in this movie as well. Some good one-liners.
Yeah, I've heard other people talk about this, saying it's like a dark comedy. I mean, I never got... There's some, like you said, some little one-liners that are funny, but like when I watched this movie, I never thought of it. I never got the vibe that it was like comedy.
Yeah, I see what you mean. There's some,
I mean, I know it didn't take itself seriously as some other movies like in this genre, but I didn't get a comedy vibe from it.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe just a little bit of levity and the good one-liners here or there is where maybe it set that tone, but...
I got to mention one of my other favorite scenes is whenever these little kids go in the butcher house. I mean, they didn't even see no bodies, but Ida scared them. They come out screaming, and they jump in the car, and their parents are like, "What's going on? I never seen them like this." And Vincent's like, "I'll handle this." He just walks up the car. Ah!
Scared the living shit out of the kids, and they were screaming, and all of a sudden they just. Like that. He's like, I took care of that.
It just totally caught me off guard. I thought when he said, I'll take care of it, I thought he might have had like one of his little sausages in his back pocket or something. Oh, here, eat this. But he just, it fucking screams at him.
There's so many great scenes out of this movie, and one that you mentioned that kind of cracked you up. But I like when the inspector shows up. His name is Bob. and he ends up getting caught up in their secret garden. He's like, checking on their with the livestock. He's inspecting that, and Vincent's like, "I have a surprise for you, Ida. Guess who?" And pulls this burlap sack off of his head, and it's the health inspector or whatever, Bob. And they're like, "When did you drop in?" You know what I mean? Good to see you, Bob. And they're just rolling with this, and he's just buried up to his head because he is technically planted in their secret garden. But this is a fun movie from the 80s for sure. And if you haven't seen this, by all means, do check this one out. Do you have anything else you would like to add about Motel Hell?
It's a little hidden gem. Definitely check it out.
Absolutely. And be sure to check out Metal and Monster Reviews and hit that subscribe button. I'm Joey.
I'm Jason.
And this is Metal
Monster
Review.